I finally saw Gravity.
I heard.
What did you think of Gravity?
I think it shouldn't have been called Gravity. It should have just been called Tension.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And being, of course, that there's no gravity in space, it should have been called Inertia, because really the movie was more about that.
Oh, sure. Obviously, very high expectations for this film, and I think it met them, which is pretty extraordinary.
I don't know if I've ever been so tense in a movie for such a long period of time. Oh, I couldn't take it anymore.
If there is ever a case to be made for 3D movies as a valid art form, this is it.
Yes, we both don't like 3D movies. I saw it in 3D.
I can't imagine seeing it any other way, really.
No.
So, if you haven't seen it, folks, you should see it in 3D. And this is coming from somebody who hates 3D.
You know how I knew this movie was going to be great?
How?
Who was the voice of Houston?
Oh, yeah, Ed Harris.
And the other two great astronaut movies, Right Stuff and Apollo 13, Ed Harris is in those too. Once Ed Harris dies, there'll be no more good astronaut movies.
I've got a bunch of movies that I've never seen before. You don't know what they are. Every episode, I'm going to spring one on you. We'll watch it and talk about it. Welcome to the basement.
We're nearing the end of the year, and it's almost time for us to announce our next crop of inductees into the Welcome to the Basement Hall of Fame. You can see the current Hall of Fame at welcometothebasementshow.com. We've got a lot of worthy competitors vying for induction into these hallowed halls.
We've been getting lots of bribes from all over the world. Edward Woodward's estate has a lot of money.
What does it take to be eligible for nomination? Well, you merely have to be in one of the movies that we've watched this year, or be someone that we've mentioned. It's really wide open.
Yes. Maybe even you could be in the Hall of Fame someday.
There is also a non-human category in the Hall of Fame, which only has one inductee so far, the Megaforce Thumb Kiss. R.I.P. Hal Needham.
Right up there.
So if you have any suggestions for a potential Hall of Fame inductee, human or otherwise, leave your suggestion in the comments. Anyway, a few months ago, Craig and I were talking about Michael Shannon, as usual, and I posed this question. Who is the next Michael Shannon for Welcome to the Basement? The man I put forward was none other than Danish actor Mads Mikkelsen. So I figured we should watch one of his movies.
You're trying to skew his odds in favor of getting into the Hall of Fame.
Maybe. You're wondering which movie we're going to see tonight? Watch as it rises out of this envelope, and you'll find out.
Valhalla Rising. I have heard the title of this movie, but I have no idea what it's about.
Released in 2009 and directed by Nicholas Winding Refn, man who recently brought us Drive and Only God Forgives.
Nice.
Allegedly, this is his personal favorite of his films, if Wikipedia is to be believed. This film features the acting talents of Mads Mikkelsen, but unfortunately not his vocal talents, because his character doesn't have any lines of dialogue in the whole movie.
Will I never find out what this guy sounds like?
He talks like this. He's got sort of this kind of voice. That's actually a pretty good impression of him.
You know, I'm thinking that I might be a little bit psychic. Because when I came down into the basement tonight, for some reason I thought of Casino Royale, and I thought of Mikkelsen bleeding out of his eye. And last time we were down here, I couldn't get the Ghostbusters song out of my head.
Well, you might be tapping into your latent talents here.
That's right.
The main character of tonight's film is covered with tattoos. Now, forget I said that as you open tonight's gift.
It is tattoos? Why in the world would you have given me tattoos?
I think in honor of this film, we should put those on our face.
They're temporary, so I'm okay with that, yes.
Oh, they're only temporary?
Yeah.
Nah, forget it.
Okay.
No, I'm just kidding. Let's put them on our face.
All right.
Havet! Are there stout men among you who will cross the fjord with us to the old leather couch to invade the land of adventure that is Valhalla Rising?
Part 1. Wrath.
One Eye, a mute warrior, has been enslaved by a nomadic Viking tribe.
I'd love for one of his tattoos to say Spring Break 93.
And he's forced to fight to the death in hand-to-hand combat
Out in the barren wasteland of Scandinavia. Church is so boring these days. They have to tether him so that he has a little handicap so that he could possibly lose.
Oh, he sucker-tugged him.
That's it. but he never loses.
Isn't anybody going to say finish him? The chieftain of the tribe is resisting the encroachment of the white Christ, or Christianity.
They are the Christians, and they do not trust them.
We have many gods. They've only got the one.
But most of our gods are drunk, so I'm worried. One-Eye's life is one of routine. They travel from place to place. He has to fight to the death with a muddy man. He wins, and then at night he's put in a cage and is chained to the wall. And there's a little boy who feeds him.
Every once in a while, One-Eye has these visions. There's lots of red.
I just had this dream last night.
Is it hell? We don't know.
One day, while One-Eye is bathing in a pond, he finds an arrowhead.
That still works.
He uses this to cut his bonds and to kill all of his captors.
1, 2.
One-Eye, you're free! See ya! See you later! One of them he kills in this way. I don't want to see this. Oh, that almost made the tattoos shoot off my face.
Kills everyone. You know, but if you're living up in Scandinavia this time in history, head on a pike. It's nothing.
People walk by that and they'll be like, yep, it's Thursday.
He'll be able to find his way back to where he started real easy. He can just follow the heads.
It's like that episode of the Brady Bunch where they got lost in the caves, but they left a trail of severed heads.
Yeah.
So they were able to find their way back. The boy, who is the only survivor, has nothing else to do, so he goes along.
Oh, he's got a little buddy.
I want to be your R2-D2.
Now, the fighter doesn't talk. He is, you could call him, a silent warrior. Part 2, Silent Warrior.
Yeah, you have to do that for all 5 parts. You realize that.
Don't worry about it, man. I got it. And then they come upon a small group of men who are the Christians.
Does the mute have a name?
One-Eye.
It's funny, his mother called him that before he lost the eye.
They're going off to fight in the Crusades.
I could use a good fighter like you.
The leader of the Christians asks the boy where One-Eye is from, and the boy says
He was brought up from hell.
they ask One-Eye to join them on their quest to free the Holy Land. One-Eye, in typical fashion, has nothing to say.
Part 3, Men of God.
In part 3, we find that One-Eye has joined the Christians, and they're all on a boat. But there's some kind of weird mist that settled over the water, and there's no wind.
They pray. They suffer. One guy goes crazy and decides he's just going to drink the water, and he dies of saltwater poisoning.
They think that the boy has cursed them, and they need to kill the boy. So one of the guys sneaks in the middle of the night, he's going to kill the boy. But One-Eye wakes up and he kills that guy. It's clear that One-Eye means business, and no one's going to mess with him or his little friend. Thanks, One-Eye.
After a few more days of suffering out in the mist, One-Eye picks up a cup and leans over the side of the boat, and he grabs some water and he begins to drink it.
It's not salt water, it's fresh water. They're near land.
The mist
lifts, and they find themselves going down a river.
Part 4, the Holy Land. So they get out and they do a little bit of exploring. One of the men disappears,
Leaving his sword behind.
Where did you get that?
There's a Renaissance fair just right over the hill. Halifax, Nova Scotia Renaissance Fair. It's great.
Arrows start flying out and killing people. Man, it's crazy. One of them says, "We're in hell. One-Eye has taken us to hell."
Part 5, Hell.
The leader of the group says that God will show them the way. And they all drink some sort of hallucinogenic liquor, and they get all high.
We gotta get high.
I want to be in the club too. I just want to drink some of the magical juice.
This is how you used to take over nations. Just walk in, get really stoned, stick a sword in the ground. They all do different things. They roll around in mud.
Things get weird and trippy.
One-Eye makes a sculpture out of stones. It takes him a while, but he figures it out. This is my best work I've done since I impaled that guy's head on a spike.
After this hallucinogenic freakout, the leader decides,
We claim this land in his name.
and it's going to be the new Holy Land.
And there is no God
One of the guys is still convinced that all this is One Eye's fault, and he tries to kill him. But we know by now that when people try to kill One Eye, it doesn't work out too well for him.
He doesn't kill everyone, just like half the crew. But that's gonna happen.
No.
Okay then. He's like, I'm out of here.
We need to follow him.
At a safe distance.
A bunch of people die. Part 6. The Sacrifice.
So they're following One Eye. They follow him over mountains and over hills and through forests and all over the place. Finally, they get to the ocean. We can build a boat now. But uh-oh, the indigenous people show up. One Eye knows this is it. He's not going to make it out of this one. But possibly the boy could survive. And so One Eye sacrifices himself. So the boy might live.
And that's it. That's the end.
Should we stick it out to the end of the credits? There might be a scene at the end where One Eye's eating shawarma. He got like a bandage on his head.
Hey, if anyone can take a beating, it's One Eye.
You look like a goth Raggedy Andy.
Yeah, the tattoos weren't in the movie.
I know, I feel kind of stupid about that, but it's...
Don't worry, you don't look stupid.
Look at this cover.
Yes.
It's just paint.
Yeah, he has temporary tattoos.
Oh,
Just like us.
The whole thing makes sense.
Yes, it does.
That was Valhalla Rising. What do you think?
What was that all about?
I liked it,
It was pretty. Nice to watch.
but
Maybe the director was trying to say something, but he wasn't telling us what he was saying.
kind of like One Eye.
Like One Eye, yes.
So it seems like the heart of the movie is a struggle between Christianity and paganism, or a struggle between new ways and old ways. What do you think the movie says about that struggle, or about Christianity?
They're really not any different than the heathens. They killed the same.
They're both rapacious and exploitative.
It's a matter of what they think is going to happen when they die.
Now, how does One Eye fit into all of this? One Eye represents paganism.
Mm-hmm.
He's also an indestructible warrior. He came up from hell.
Yeah.
He may be this sort of supernatural being. He's having these weird visions. We find by the end of the movie that he's not indestructible.
Yeah.
Do you think that One Eye betrayed what he was all about by going on this journey with these Christians, and so he's punished for it at the end?
That's a good argument.
And
they're punished for bringing him along since they know he's from hell. That's the only thing they know about him.
Right. And he's punished by people who are more primitive than he is. Primitivism, from its core, is getting him.
I found it to be just an art movie that had really intense violence in it to keep your attention.
I really enjoyed the first half. Now, the second half, there were some problems. I noticed that both of us, when we were on the couch trying to sum up the movie, we had a really tough time remembering what happened in the second half.
That's right. What happens? Yeah.
Exactly.
This is where it gets confusing.
However, I really felt like I was present and really caught up in the things that were going on. So why was it so difficult to recall that part of the movie?
It didn't really seem to have any sort of forward thrust. You know, it's like
Right.
they went out into the woods and they came back to the water.
It had a real Fitzcarraldo pace to
Yeah.
it. Although it was like Fitzcarraldo.
It does have that Herzog dragging lushness to it.
Even though there's more talking in the second half than there was in the first half, it seems like there's less plot.
The Viking Christians were indistinguishable. It's like the two old men. I got them confused constantly. And then most of the younger people I got confused as well, too. Lots of water in this movie. Very elemental in the classic elemental way.
Sure, water, air.
Earth and fire. It's
What?
like you really felt all four of those things.
Where was the fire?
Fire was the visions.
Oh.
Ah, and hell.
Do you think that One Eye was a supernatural being?
You can't just go and sit in a boat and suddenly arrive in the New World from Europe. That's the one argument I have that One Eye might in fact be supernatural. Their boat seemed to be lifted out of the water and placed somewhere else. They're in the New World to all learn lessons and die.
Maybe they were dead the whole time, and they were in hell. There was that guy sitting on the boat that looked a lot like Death.
Oh, there's the Angel of Death there.
Yeah, he was in a previous shot too.
He could have been the boatman of the abyss. You've levied a lot of criticism against this movie. What did you like about it?
Every single shot was gorgeous. I do have more of an appreciation of your man Mikkelsen, and it will stick with me. This will be with me for the rest of my days, with more Vern Collar and other various quiet, beautiful, confusing movies.
It's one of those that will grow in reflection. And now customer comments.
Customer comments are when you leave us notes in the internet place and we read them out loud to you.
All you wonderful people can go visit welcometothebasementshow.com, which is our website. And there's a PayPal donation fund. You can donate a few of your hard-earned dollars to support the show. I just said that really weirdly.
Hard-earned dollars to support the show.
Here's a list of people who have recently done that. Michael, who writes, "Glad to be able to support your excellent show. Really enjoy the movie analysis that you both provide." The Supercomputer Guy, who says, "Here, take my money." Georgios, Patricia, Sean, Michael, Jane, Jan, Jamil, who writes, "Keep up the good work. Craig's Wicker Man impressions were hilarious."
Thanks.
And Ashley, who writes, "Recurring PayPal donator because I love your show so much. I just got married and I'm looking forward to watching episodes with the husband as we talk about our movie tastes and backgrounds." Well, isn't that sweet? It's thinking of those newlyweds talking about movies. Warms my heart. And now it's time for Seen It. Tonight on Seen It, we're not going to talk about movies that we love. Oh no. We're going to talk about movies that we don't love. In Seen It, Hate It.
Mr. Tompkins says, Lady Killers, the one Coen film where they got Tom Hanks and it ended up sucking. Damn straight it did.
Seen It, Hate It.
I think the Coen brothers were challenging themselves to try to make a movie how Hollywood would want them to make a movie, just as like a thought experiment. It's like, I know, we'll remake a beloved classic. We'll cast the biggest movie star in the world. We'll have fart jokes in it, and we'll have all these things that we find repulsive in movies, and let's see if we can make it into something good.
It was their version of like a genre movie.
Yeah.
We'll make a modern comedy.
Didn't work at all.
No, falls flat. Karen Hebert writes, "Have you seen Garden State? I love indie movies. They are great. If you love indie movies, steer well clear of Garden State. Seen It, Hate It."
Seen it, I don't hate it. I think it's a fine movie. It's a beautiful movie.
It seemed to me like a mainstream movie wearing an indie costume.
Yeah.
I mean, it really seemed disingenuous and fake. So my beef with it is I really don't like that Natalie Portman. I thought she was brilliant in Black Swan, but everything else I don't believe her. It's like you and Tom Cruise. I don't believe her when I see her on screen. And I really don't like Zach Braff. So the two of them in a romance together, he's a no good. I couldn't tell you much about the movie, but I know that when we reached the emotional climax of the film, I think it had something to do with the bathtub. I just didn't give a shit. I was just like, who cares? I was just as numb and emotionless as Zach Braff is at the beginning of the movie. Because this film is cinematic Xanax. My apologies to Karen Hebert. I'm sorry to be dissing a movie that you love. You obviously saw something in it that I didn't, so good for you.
Speaking of movies that everyone loves, except for me, Steve Harrison says, I'd recommend Midnight in Paris. Seen it, hate it!
Seen it, I kind of like it. Now, I know you hate this movie, and I've never really understood why, so why don't you try to enlighten me?
Yes, I loved all the bits with Salvador Dali and Hemingway and Luis Buñuel and all these people, but I hated the entire movie that went around it. I just didn't care about anyone in the present day. The original love interest, Rachel McAdams, she's a monster. She has no good qualities about her.
That is true.
Owen Wilson, of course, does not sound like he's from New York, so they just changed all place names to Pasadena, and suddenly it was okay. And yet he was still talking like he was from Brooklyn.
Oh, because he's a Woody Allen surrogate.
Because he's a Woody Allen surrogate.
I think his characters aren't really organic, so they don't interact with each other the way people do, because they're just like mouthpieces for Woody's ideas.
Yeah, and the thing is, I love time travel romances. It's my all-time favorite subgenre.
Well, I also have a midnight movie on my list. This is Ben Pat 100. Seen it? Midnight in the Garden of Good and Evil. Seen it? Hated it.
Read it. Liked the book. Never saw the movie.
That's why I hated the movie, because I read the book first. And the book is great. But the movie pulls all the teeth out of the story It's just a stupid mess, and it's lazy.
How's Kevin Spacey?
He's Kevin Spacey.
Yeah.
It doesn't really matter. You can drop a great actor in the middle of any turd of a movie, and the movie's still gonna suck. It can't coast by on Spacey charm, which sounds like something from the Jetsons. Crazy Fun Guy Phil 7 writes, they need to quit remaking 80s movies. That includes terrible sequels to 80s franchises like Indiana Jones 4. Seen it, hated it.
I can't even.
I've never seen the mere mention of a film make you wither in such a way. I don't hate this movie so much for what it is. It's a forgettable mess. I just simply hate this movie for existing in the first place.
Yeah,
because what you've got is you've got an unimpeachable trilogy, this bubble of perfect cinema that everyone will love forever. And now there's this big old turd slapped on the end of that. And that will forever be a part of that. That taints that trilogy. It's like you've poisoned the water hole. Shia LaBeouf is
Oh my God!
he's a useless tool bag who ruins everything.
Why does he get cast? Ever! I'm sorry. Yeah, he was good in Holes. Yeah, he was good in one movie. Everyone has one movie in them. I hate that guy. It's like, I don't like Ethan Hawke for, like, principle. I don't like Tom Cruise because he's so super powerful. I just hate Shia LaBeouf. And if there's anyone out there who likes him, I want to hear from you because I wonder why. Hey, I'm Robert Redford. I'm going to cast her. I'm Steven Spielberg. I'm going to cast Shia LaBeouf. All these people cast him, and nobody knows why. Nobody likes looking at his face. He's got this stupid-ass name, and he got to be Indiana Jones's son. Indiana Jones's son.
Sean Connery gave birth to River Phoenix, who grew up to be Harrison Ford, who crapped out Shia LaBeouf. Okay, well, on that explosive note, that was Seen It, Hate It. Next episode, Seen It, we'll be talking about your most hated movies.
Ooh.
Thank you for joining us in the savage world of Valhalla Rising. We hope that you don't get in a fight in a mud pit with another person.
And if you do, we hope you win.
That's right. Go to welcometothebasementshow.com. Make a donation if you so desire. We will see you next time with another great movie and another great discussion. Good night.
Good night.
Hit.
You have made any number of scatological references. You've said shit and turd a whole bunch of times during just the course of the discussion here. It's fine. If that's your thing, that's okay.
Well, we talk about movies we hate.
I'm not saying it's a bad thing.
If we're talking about movies we love, I'm sure I would say gem and jewel a lot.
Yeah, probably. And I'd say amazing and astounding.
Yeah, you would.
We have many gods. They've only got the one.